Hey, what's up? How's it? Aloha, it is me, Makani. Welcome to Culturized. I'm so excited. And this is the space we've created. What Culturized is all about. A lot of people I see out and about and they say, what is Culturized? What is Culturized? A lot of people think culture is ethnic, like Hawaiian, Samoan, Tongan, Filipino. Culture is just 10 or more people believing and practicing in the same thing. I truly believe that if we all learn a little bit about each other's cultures, we'll all be better off. So we learn, talk, share culture, whether it's ethnic, whether it's social, whether it's native. Today, native and ethnic. I am so excited because sitting with me today, I've tried to get her on the show many, many times, but she's busy because she's an entertainer, she's a mom, she's grandma, she's all these things. And we go back, way back, entertainment days to Paradise Cove. We'll talk about a little bit of that. But she's here today to share a little bit about herself and Tongan culture. Liu, as I know. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. Maloilelei. Aloha.
Tell everybody what's the greeting word in Tonga? Maloilelei.
Maloilelei means aloha. How are you?
Right off the bat. Before we get into a little bit more of Tongan culture, what high school you went to?
I went to McKinley High School.
McKinley High School.
Yes.
Where did you go to McKinley? Where did you grow up? Were you in town or?
I grew up in town.
Mm-hmm.
So small story, funny.
Uh-huh.
I went to Waikiki Elementary.
Really?
Yes, in Waikiki because we lived up Diamond Head.
Oh, that's yeah.
And then I went to St. Augustine's.
Okay.
It's no longer there.
Yeah.
And then from there, I went to Marino.
Wow.
Got kicked out. And that's how I ended up at, then
McKinley.
I did a couple months at Washington Intermediate and then went to McKinley.
No way.
Yes.
So if you can remember that far back, what was it like going to those different schools? Was it really different or you would see some of the same people that you would hang out with in that circle?
No, it was different because then I live more of a sheltered life, so it was just always a lot of just family. And then when I started going to Washington Intermediate, and then you get all the blalas and the taters, yeah,
that was it.
It was just like, it was a fun carnival time,
You away from the home, away from the family,
yes.
and within
smoke weeds, smoke cigarette,
Because, like you said, in Tongan families, you were very sheltered.
Yes.
Speaking of which, you did all these smoking weed. You could do all these things away from the house. What was it like growing up in the house?
Strict.
Really?
Yes, very strict. I was the only girl.
How many brothers?
And I had 4 brothers.
Wow. So you were right.
And I was the baby as well. Yeah. Because my brothers were way older than me. They were 10, 11, 12, 13 years older than me. Yeah.
What do you remember about growing up? Was it very... So, you have local culture. You have, of course, growing up Tongan. Your ethnic backgrounds, Tongan. What was it like growing up in the household? Was it very cultural?
Very cultural. We were not allowed to speak English at home. So once you come home, you take off the English thinking, and we were to speak Tongan as kids. Because for my dad, because he was so close in the culture that he didn't want us to lose the language.
I like that.
So we spoke Tongan and what's chop suey, but
really,
yeah.
And was he, when it was chop suey, did he get upset?
Yes.
Really?
Because I was the kind, saying a Tongan sentence and then I would use the word and.
So.
And so, yeah. Wow. Instead of more meaning and. Yeah.
So even little things like that.
Yeah. Adding in an English word.
No way.
Yeah.
Was as you know, as Polynesians, we always our parents are always do something on whack, you get whacked.
Right.
Was that part of it?
No, My mother was the whacker.
Okay, I was just gonna ask you, who did you fear most? Because you think about Tongan male. Was mom Tongan?
She's Tongan, but I didn't fear her. I feared my dad.
Okay, I want you to. We'll talk a little bit more about that. If you're joining us, I'm sitting with my good friend Liu. She's gonna share some Tongan culture with us. Growing up in Hawaii, and I love the fact that Dad made sure she knew her Tongan culture right here on Culturized.
Bringing you what matters. Viewers can receive the Star Advertiser Digital Full Access subscription for just $9.95 per month. Go to staradvertiser.com and click on subscribe. Use the code AHAITHING.
Hey, what's up? How's it? Aloha, it is me, Makani. Welcome back to Culturized. I'm so excited. My good friend Liu is here. We go way back, but I could not wait for her to come on the show because I wanted her to share Tongan culture with us. And when I was at Paradise Cove, you'd always share these little stories here and there, and was always interesting because you would not only, and we'll get into it later about dance and music of Tonga, but you choreographed a lot. But I want to get back to growing up in the Tongan culture. The fact that amazing that Dad was like, no, we could be in America, we could be in Hawaii, but you are going to know Tongan culture, which a lot of families, sometimes don't do today, right? They move to America and they say, no, we're going to be American. What are some of were there customs and things, like you said, once you got into the house, English thinking, English language, pal, were there things in Tonga that, or in Tongan culture that you did at home? Like, so the only thing I can think of, like obviously church, right?
Right.
And what do you call the
tupelo?
Is that what it is?
Well, in our culture, for us as young women, so our clothing at home or anywhere we go, it was never above the knee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so shorts was out of it.
Were you one of those girls that when you left the house, you had shorts at your friend's house?
Yes, I had the bottom apple shorts. The one with the double flip on the side.
But where did you have it at home, or you at your friend? You tell your friends to bring them?
No. I kept that away.
No
I
way.
hide them.
No.
I put them in a plastic bag and throw them over, our big gate.
And so when you walk out, that's classic. That's too funny. And so when you're in the house, you're fully clothed down to the knees.
Yeah, it's very modest. As a woman, you have to dress modest. And at the same time, for the men too, like my brothers, no tank top.
Really?
Yeah, they
I didn't
always
know
wore
that.
a T-shirt, to cover. And the same for them. They wear their shorts was the only time they wear like short shorts is to play rugby.
Right. Because I was just gonna say.
Yeah, but at home and anything else with gardening or anything.
Interesting.
No.
Wow. When it came obviously clothing, were there certain things you folks did, like say, the only comparison I think, like when you're in Samoa, 12 o'clock, the church bell ring, you better go find shelter. And is same for Tongan culture? But because religion was a huge part.
Yeah, religion was a huge part. We fear our faith. Yeah, our faith was God. So everything that we did was, in line with what His, the commandments and all. Yeah. So, but then at the same time, like my dad, he was like, because in our Tongan culture, as being a father and the head of the family, me as a daughter or the children, we cannot eat his leftover.
Really?
Cannot touch his face. Cannot wear his clothes. It was like taboo at that time. Now you see everybody, kids, whatever, but back then, no.
So part of that, so we go back to you have both powerful parents, mom and dad. You feared dad more.
Yes.
But mom was the one who gave you the
Mom
crack.
is the one.
Yeah.
She, when I got older, but when I was younger, and she still, I didn't get too much into trouble here, but when we used to go to Tonga during the summer, she stands from
I got the bra.
the balcony part of our home, She stands there with her hands on her. It's like already you know. And you know what it is? She pulls out the kind of rope. You know
the one
the rope, the one we tie the cows with, because yes. Me and my cousins, every time we get together in Australia or in New Zealand or something, we always talk about my mother and her the big fat rope.
And she lick you guys. Really? And does she call you guys in to get, because that walk from where you're playing in the field to the house is the worst walk ever.
It's just because our home, we're never allowed to play outside our home.
Wow.
So we can have friends come over and we can play in the yard. And we had a big, and we still have a big yard, but we're not allowed to go and what's up with everybody.
We're gonna talk a little bit more about Tongan culture and Liu. I want to find something out about what it's like visiting Tonga for the summer. We're gonna have some kapa kava, but we're gonna continue this conversation on Culturized. Air & Sea Travel Center, best group tours throughout the world. Let's go travel and see the world to make beautiful memories. Call 808-951-9800 today. Hey, what's up? How's it? Aloha, it is me, Makani. Welcome back to Culturized. It is me, Makani. I'm sitting with my very dear friend, Liu. We go back to Paradise Cove days, even further before that. You're sharing Tongan culture with us. We're talking about Mom. The would you say, did she have a style with that cattle rope of giving you licking, or was just go at it?
No, she had a style.
Yeah.
And it was the upstroke down.
It's the upstroke down.
And it's not a straightforward, but it's a swing.
But do you notice this? Because I noticed about my mom too. My mom I think if there was a professional team on lick and giving, I think women would be the best. My mom, I would always say, created mental warfare, because same as your mom, she would stand there. My mom would do this. She goes, go upstairs and pick a belt. I was like, what, you pick something to you lick me with?
Oh, man.
And then we would pick a belt, and then she would make us wait. She would make us wait like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20. You're just like, what? You don't know when she's going to. And just when you think she's going to forget, and just when you think everything is okay, she's coming up the stairs and just as mad as she was the first time. That's why I'm visioning in my head you playing with your cousins in the yard, that walk from the yard all the way to your mom. What kinds of things is it? So was it fair to say that Mom kept you folks in line?
Yes.
And Dad was he was the king of the household.
Yes.
That's interesting to me. Of all those things that you talked about in Tongan culture, you don't use his clothes, you don't touch his face. Being the only female in the family, were you put on a pedestal? Were you or how are females in a Tongan family?
Yes. Well, I was, because I was the only daughter.
Okay.
So I was more spoiled. But yet my mother had taught me, she would come and tell me, come watch her. She make beef stew or make curry, things like that. When I got a little bit older, she'll have me come to watch. I never can touch the food. I just watch.
Really?
Yeah.
When Mom and Dad came, were they together already before they came to Hawaii?
Yes.
Where in Tonga did they come from?
So it's a branch, but the main the island where I was born and raised in is Folaha.
Okay.
Yeah. But my dad is part Homa.
Okay.
That's his mother is from Homa, and then his and Hawakatolo, which is the father's side. But because they were missionaries, they traveled, and our clan was brought them to Folaha. So there was like three different families, and they were brought into Folaha to live there and make the people.
Ah, I see.
So in each clan have their names,
Right.
yeah? And so, and I was Tuvana.
Okay.
And we were, from the missionaries.
Wow.
Yeah, my great-grandfather was a missionary.
So how did they eventually come to Hawaii?
Well, that was my dad.
Okay.
So my dad always traveled with the royal family. Before I was born, way before I was born, he traveled with them all over to New Zealand, raising the now king and all of that, right?
Serious?
So then when he decided to come here, that's how he got his visa. Was he asked the king that he wanted to come here and check it out. So he and I came first.
Wow.
So when we came in 1969, he liked it because it's almost like home.
Right.
So then that's when he didn't telegram.
Oh, are you serious? Back to
Telegram. And then the king came. Then Dad went there. And then he just made a call to Mr. Weaver, the owner of Spencecliff Restaurants.
Really?
They were good friends.
How? So I'm just amazed at the fact that your dad was, I'll call the king and see if I can go to Hawaii. But how many? Was with the royal family for so long. Was that difficult for they let him? Oh no, go ahead.
No, because
Wow.
they know his time, and
Right.
and plus they were looking at him more of he would be the connection here. So when they come, he would always be here to to make sure that everything protocol wise.
Oh, I see.
And that was him.
We're gonna get more into the Tongan culture. Liu is sitting with me. I love all of these. Are the stories you used to tell me. Now I'm putting it all together. We're sitting down on Culture as we're talking Tongan culture. If you want to comment down below, if you got any stories you want to share with us as well, this is Culturized.
For all your money needs, Hawaiian Financial Federal Credit Union is here for you. Visit hificu.com.
Windows Hawaii. Windows are not only designed to beautify your home, but also to make your home more secure, energy efficient, and virtually noise-proof. Contact Mario now for your free in-home estimate. 808-671-0808.
Hey, what's up? How's it? Aloha, it's me, Makani. Welcome back to Culturize. Now it's about the time in the show where I start to get selfish and greedy because I'm learning. I love learning. Even at Paradise Cove, dancing, Liu was always teaching not just dance. Like you had the thing I loved about it is that you would teach us choreography, but you would also make sure that we knew what we were dancing and the purpose and all that. And I think I'm just gonna say it. There's a lot of dancers today, younger dancers, they lose that. You just teach them how to move on a stage,
Right.
and say, oh, this is a Tongan number, but have no idea what it's talking about. I want to get back to Dad coming over. So did he have a title he made sure all the protocol was set for when the king would come?
Well, in Tonga, each family, because you cannot be doing things for the royalty. It's only family.
Wow.
Yes, you gotta be family somehow to be in order. So my dad had studied under Queen Salote III.
No way.
He studied the culture, dancing, and writing, the music. So he is a punake, which is ikumu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now it makes sense.
Yeah. And so I was the one that everything here, he teaches me. I was like his alakai. So my generation and the older generation of being here in Hawaii, they know when they see me. So I carry on, his teaching and stuff. Yeah, I cannot. His shoe is too big.
But that's what I notice about the Tongan culture here in Hawaii. In my experience, is that whenever something comes up, they're always going to look to you. How do we do this? How do we do that? Did the king at the time come to Hawaii a lot?
Yes.
Really?
And every time he visit, there will always be a call or telegram to my dad to let him know. And then they always came and they stayed at the Ala Moana Hotel.
The king of Tonga stayed at the Ala Moana Hotel.
Back in the days, back in the early 70s, and then later on, Spencecliff opened his home. And we were neighbors, remember? Because we all lived on the estate. So a couple of times when Queen Salote Kalamai.
Yeah.
Queen Salote passed already, but Queen Mata'aho.
So I remember I don't know what year it was. When did Queen Salote, she visited here, but she went to PCC. I remember, what years were that?
I think that was King, the son, King Tupofa.
How long ago was that? All I remember was they PCC
In the 70s.
Yeah, I was really young, and it was like they set up PCC like the king is
Right.
coming.
Yes.
And everybody was there. And all I remember was Kamaki Kanahele at the time, he said, he was there as well. He goes, so shame, Hawaiians, every other culture had these big pomp and circumstance of the king. He goes, Hawaiians, they just in Oli. It's like, oh no.
My dad, so when they did all of that,
Uh-huh.
my dad did the big laka from
That's-
Honolulu.
No.
And then Laie was the Taumebel. He was the chief at the Tongan village at the time.
Wow.
So it was more like when we lived in those days. Old man Taumebel would take care of Laie's side, North Shore, and everybody from Kaneohe to here was my dad. So, from dancing and everything he would do.
So when the king would come, Dad would have to make sure, where they were going to stay, where they were going to travel. He basically was a head of Secret Service.
Yeah, the Secret Service had him. So every time when Tongans would come to visit and stuff, the Secret Service gotta refer to my dad and they make appointment, and it was always to my dad.
That is.
Back in the days, yes.
Can you hang out with me for a little while more?
Sure.
I'm going to encourage you guys. You want to learn a little bit more about Tongan culture, head over to the extended version on YouTube. We're sitting down with my good friend Liu. Thank you for taking time, because I know you're still at Paradise Cove and you're still performing as a musician, but this is what we're going to do on Culturized. Hey, what's up? How's it? Aloha, it is me, Makani. I'm sitting with my very good friend Liu. We are having some kapakava. That's lihimoy mango. In Tonga, how important is kava? I know it's a rhetorical question, but a lot of people don't know.
Oh, it's important. It's part of the culture. But before the kava, now everybody drinks.
Yes.
Young and old, girls, boys. But in Tonga, it's just, it's just the men.
Really? Okay, so I have so in Hawaii, as they say, Hawaiians were the only Polynesian culture that didn't drink ava or kava for recreational purposes. Was it the same in Tonga? Was it recreation and ceremonial, or is just?
It became recreational after many years, yeah. Everything kind of watered down a little bit and more relaxed. But before, every time, like if you go to a church in Tonga, they always have ava before.
Oh, wow.
Before
Okay.
church, like maybe an hour before, and everybody, all the men would go there to have ava.
Wow.
And wait, or say kava.
Kava, yeah.
And wait until church start. And then when it's done, they will continue. And then it was always a time for the men to talk about things, that are either in church important or important for the villages. Because something big is coming up, and then the villages, they have to delegate things that they need to be done. Call it a fono. And that's when everybody gets together. They call the fono, and ava is served.
Wow.
And they talk.
Because now it's, like you said, recreation. There's what is on was that King Street by Tamashiro Market? You go down. There's a on
the left side. Still there.
It's still there. That's been there.
The name keep changing, but it's still there.
And it's just where the Tongan men go.
Yeah. And that's not the only place.
Really?
So if you go down another mile down, by more closer to the Nissan.
Oh, yeah. By Umi Street.
But before you hit the Nissan, I think it's like where Ray's food.
Oh, serious?
It's on the left. It's a church one.
Oh,
upstairs.
I see.
Yeah.
So they
have
drink kava at
different-
church, and the one on King Street. I just every once in a while I'll be driving late at night, and there'll be an uncle just sleeping on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
So it's important. So when people come together, kava is always served.
Yes.
As we learn more about Tongan culture, we talked about how dad's responsibility to the king and setting up protocol and all of that. And you've acquired, and he's gifted you with all this knowledge of Tongan culture. What's one of the first things that you as Hawaii say, pili tu, got close to? Was it music? Was it dance? What was it for you?
It was the dance.
It was dance. What do they call Tongan dance? Like Hawaii hula?
Atau olunga.
Atau olunga.
Yeah.
And
so with the T, excuse me, you use a D.
D.
Tau olunga.
You know what I like about that? Iam Tonga on the kind. He that's what he shared. He said something. He goes, oh, in Tonga we used to say the T like a D. And I love that, the fact that he shared that on national TV. I know, right? I know. But so you adhered to the dance. How many different dances are there? Like, because I remember what did we do? I totally, again, we old.
We had the...
at Cove, we did the...
at one time we did the Soke.
The Soke, that's the one. We just whack everybody.
Right. We whacked even a tourist, fly.
I remember was... because Obi wanted to do like an 8-person Soke,
vaka.
And we were like, wait, what?
What? Yeah.
So if people don't know what we're talking about, explain what the Soke is.
Soke is a dance, and I know some people are familiar with it because it's with a long sticks and a short sticks, and then you sing the song, and then you whack each other and you swing it. So it's more like and they call it a vaka. Vaka is four dancers, and then usually in O'Brien wanted 8, which that means, but we don't have that enough people on the stage, right? But it's a dance that we took from another, I think, if I'm not mistaken, from the Wallace people.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it's just like how we do ma'ulu'ulu. We take that from the Samoan, and we call it ours. Yeah, with the drum. Because like the Samoan, they do with the can, and they do kasala. And for us, it's the drum. The drum. Big drum. Yeah?
That's right.
Yeah.
So imagine, there's all of us on stage. We got these long sticks, and it's like this beautiful, organized chaos, because you're moving from position to position, like really closely, and you having to hit the other people's stick, top, bottom, everything. And if you move at the wrong time,
bang,
right in the head.
Or if you move late.
You're
gonna get crying.
So that's one you taught, and the girls did one too.
Yes,
right?
they did the taualunga.
I love that they did it on the ramp, and I always loved it because when you would teach, you always had that with the girls especially, because you had to have that look of power but look of soft.
Yes.
And some of our girls was a little bit rough, and it was like, girls, come on.
Yes.
What other dances did they have in Tonga?
We got the mako.
That's right.
Yeah, we did the mako as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Explain to our friends what mako is.
So the mako, like I said, again, it comes from
other cultures.
And
like
it's a mixed and the original of that song is of another language, but similar Tongan.
No way.
Yeah.
Something I learned.
Yeah.
Kailau.
We're doing kailau now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kailau is with the
spear.
Kailau. Oh, the spear.
So that one is a war dance.
Only men do that.
And the men do them.
Wow.
The women, we can put them in.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can put the women in, but it's not really feminine,
Right.
in the Tongan to look at the girl, she's squatting her legs,
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As we go on, I'm thinking about all these things that I recognize in Tongan culture. Explain to us, when somebody passes away, women cutting their hair.
Yes.
How come?
It's a show of respect. In the Tongan culture, to be a woman is to have beautiful hair. That's your, that's your mana, your hair. And then, so when your hair is cut, it's not just for anybody. It's only your father.
Wow.
Your father's brothers. because in the Tongan language, we only have one word for father, uncle. Huh? It's
Wow.
tamai.
Wow.
Tamai is father. So they are your father figure.
Wow. Because I always see people now, they post videos, but it's such a huge ceremony.
Yeah.
And then they cut their hair, and it's almost amazing that sometimes a look on their face, they don't want to do it, but they know they have to do it.
Yeah.
What do they do with the hair after?
Well, the person who cuts the fahu, which would be their dad's sister or their dad's sister, depending on how the family, if they want the immediate closest kin or the next over, she keeps that. And back in the days, my mother would braid, because my mother she was the fahu of all her 6 sibling brothers,
Right.
But when those things happened, she would collect them and she would make, she braided up and make kafa. We call it kafa, to wrap, to hold your ta'awala. Yeah.
Out of hair.
Out of real hair.
Wow.
And that would be their hair.
Wow. And is there still people that have that today or do that
People
today?
still do that now, the older generation. Nowadays with the younger generation,
And also I see, I don't know if it's just for that somebody passing, but when they put the, after they put the lauhala, the mat over them, is that just a sign of respect? Or?
So this is what it is. When you go to a Tongan funeral, you usually know how you are related to the person, the death, but what you wear.
Yeah.
Okay?
Wow.
So if you're wearing a big ta'awala, but not covering your head, you're more like second generation, third generation, but that's a father. Yeah? Or that's your dad's sister. The ones that come burying over their head, that is their father's sister. I was just at a hair cutting like that, and it's on TikTok now.
Okay, so what? Speaking of that, now that there's social media, now that all these things, in one aspect, it's like, wow, people get to see the culture, right? Because it's out there, people are posting it. At the same time, is it one of those things like, no, you shouldn't put that on? Like in traditional Hawaiian healing, a lot of times kupuna would tell me, no, you don't share that. You don't share that. You don't put that on. There's some things is it like that, or is just you cannot really control?
For the hair cutting, it's fine. There are certain other things that in the Tongan they don't.
You just don't.
Yeah, that's taboo, and they'll know.
Oh, I like that. I want to definitely bring you back again because I always, you're the encyclopedia for me of Tongan culture or Polynesian in general because you do everything. But mahalo for making time. Thank you so much for being here. I'm excited that I finally got you here. This is what we do. We create this space to talk, share, and learn culture. Today it was all about Tongan culture. You want to share with us? Comment down below. That's what we do. It's Culturized.